Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish, and I'm the host of this program. Well, thank you for each and every one of you that has just tuned in for the very first time. What we do is that we are an amazing group of women that chat with others around the world. We just absolutely love it. Our show's been running now for 10 years. And if you see the hashtag out there, Divas That Care, that is us. So make sure that you check out all the things that our amazing hosts and our guests are doing out there. For any of you also that have been with us for 10 years, thank you so much. It's because of you that we've continued to do this, and we're doing a lot of amazing things around the world, and we're just so excited about that. So thank you again for everything that you've done to participate and help us all out with our movement out there. I'm excited to be introducing a brand new diva to our program, everyone. You're going to love her. She has energy, and I know that what she's going to be sharing with us is going to be so intriguing and so much fun. So we're going to be giving you a big diva welcome, Shelli, because we're excited to always welcome our new guests to our program. So Shelli Orava is our amazing guest today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Well, I'm so excited, and I can't wait to get to know you better. I just love that you are also from Alberta, Canada, like I am, and you live in an area that I'm awe. Like, when you said that, I'm in awe because you're living in an area that I would love to live in. So I just want to put it out there right now into the universe because I love the mountains, and you're living in the mountains, and you're living probably in one of my dream spots. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area. I love it, and I feel very fortunate, very blessed to live here. There's really essentially no fences, so I can just jump on my horse and go or hike. And
ooh, I love that. Well, Shelli, if you don't mind, would you spend a couple of minutes just sharing with all of our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I grew up in Rocky Mountain House. It's a little town in Alberta, and had lots of animals, and sometimes I wanted more, but they were my everything. They were my salvation. They were my go-to. Of course, like a lot of people, grew up in quite a dysfunctional family, so they saved me. They kept me alive, really. They were there for me. And so as I grew older, in the early 90s, actually, I realized I worked in the bush. I did all sorts of things, worked in the office, but I always drawn back to animals. And in the early 90s, I met a gal who said she was an animal communicator. She told me a story about how she was away and her German Shepherd portrayed to her that her house was on fire. So she immediately got on a phone and she got somebody there and she saved her house. And I was just in absolute awe that this could happen. And so when the internet came out, I just started Googling, and it's quite a few years since that time, but here I am with lots of amazing things that happened in between.
Well, I love it. And, you know, to be an animal communicator, I was going to say a lot of people might not understand exactly what that is, but you work quite closely with animals. And I went through your website just earlier today, actually, and I was seeing all of these amazing stories of these animals that you'd been working with. Can you, share a few of these stories with us today?
I certainly can. So a lot of the animals I work with are distant globally. I work with people and animals throughout the world because what I do is actually telepathic. And when I first started, it was not something that was really open that you could talk about. People just thought I was crazy, and even my husband was not really happy that I was taking the time and going to California to learn how to do this, because we think that we need to actually physically be in front of somebody and talk to them or hear them on the phone or do what we're doing now. But every day people use telepathic messages with each other, and they don't even know it. You may know if your son or your daughter's phoning you or your husband's calling. You just know when that phone rings who it is. And that's how animals speak with each other. And so through the Gurney Institute in California, I was taught by this gal who's just so down to earth, step by step, how to actually do it with animals. Because when we speak to each other or we speak to our animals, we're actually creating pictures in our minds. So if I said to my little Jack Russell, don't get on the couch, I'm actually putting a picture of him being on the couch, and so I would confuse him. So instead I want to say, please stay on the floor, because then my mind goes to him being on the floor. So when I speak with an animal, I'm actually creating that picture in my mind. So when I speak with them, I'm showing them what I want to say to them. And then for me, I actually don't see a lot of pictures, but luckily it gets transferred to words for me. I see some pictures. But that's how they talk to each other all the time. I mean, I used to have a couple Labradors, and I used to go, how do they know I'm going for a walk, and how do they know that I'm not going to town? Because if I was going for a walk, they're outside going crazy. They can't see in the house, but if I was going to town, they're kind of, oh, yeah, she's leaving us again, slumping around the deck. But it's because I was making those pictures in my mind, and so they picked right up on it.
I find that really fascinating because, you know, like if you're like me, everyone, I'm kind of just visualizing this, and I'm looking at my animals because wherever I go, my animals follow me around the house too. And, you know, we're not talking, but they're communicating. And I always wondered, I'm like, they do the same thing back and forth to each other. And you know they're saying something, but they're not saying anything. And you're just doing the same thing with the animals.
Exactly. But what happens is that, as you know, humans have 100,000 things going on in their mind. Their kids are coming home from school.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to pick stuff up from groceries. What's the next business contract, whatever. So we're never focused. And that's why our animals can do things that maybe act out, or because they're just not getting it. Or they, you know, if we go on a holiday and we don't actually tell them when we're going to come back, like they get those things, but we have to be completely focused to share that with them. And that's the biggest mistake we make.
And I love that what you're saying, because it's probably I'm just going to kind of dive back. A lot of people might not get it. They might be like, well, I don't understand this. But I think nowadays it's a lot easier. You know, a lot of people understand what Reiki is. They understand what, you know, the light therapy and how just different types of communications are involved. And I think this is such a great time in society for people to get a better understanding. And you realize, like, yeah, animals do communicate, and how do we communicate with them to make, you know, not just our lives better, but their lives too. And I really love what you're chatting with us about today.
It's fascinating, really, and I don't always get it 100% right. I mean, I'm human. We don't even get it 100% right if I was talking from you to me. So, but animals are so forgiving. They're so loving, and so many of them, all of them, really, they come into our lives for a purpose, to teach us, to heal us, to be companions. And if we really pay attention to them, we can learn so much. Most of the time, a lot of our animals come in to our lives with the same emotional scars that we have, and they will often mirror them back to us. And if we pay attention, we can actually heal ourselves and heal them as well.
I love that. Isn't that so true? You know, we've had a lot of different amazing divas that have come onto our program that work with animals, and, you know, they share the same thing. You know, it really is that, you know, animals heal us. They do so much to us, and I always feel sad when people don't have an animal in their life, you know, be it a horse, a dog, a cat, a bird, you know, even my fish. It's kind of a weird thing, but I love just sitting in front of my fish tank at night and just, you know, talking to them. You know, it's just kind of a neat feeling that I can just watch them and they all come up and then they start doing their thing. But it's almost like a stress relief when you are around something, going outside in the nature. And you do a lot of stuff like that. Being in the mountains, you're outside with nature all the time. And I think that's one of the things that I envy about you, is that you are there and you are surrounded by so much. And that's going to be quite impactful in your life too.
It's really important, especially for what I do. My husband and I do a pack trip every summer, and we actually clean trails in the backcountry. And I need to get away from the Wi-Fi, the phone, all of that to really disconnect, because I really think all the energy, all the electric around us is harmful. And so I just really need that disconnect, and it's fabulous.
I love that. So tell me, what is emotion code? I would like to hear a little bit about that.
Okay, so every day, whatever we take in, we can receive. How do I put it in the best words? So we could have a trauma. It can be a trauma from watching Walt Disney when you're 6 years old and Bambi leaves his mom or gets kicked out. And that could just hit you so wrong. And so this emotion, it could be sadness, it could be sorrow, it could be betrayal, gets stuck, it gets lodged somewhere in your body, and it stays with you until you release it. And it can turn into pain, it can turn into an illness, and with animals, with people or animals, and it can turn into a behavioral issue. And if we don't release it, over time things can get worse. And so I work with actually both the animal and the person, because like I said, we often both come in with the same emotional scars. So I can work with both human and animal to release that, so you have a better relationship together. Because often whatever our emotional scar is creates maybe a behavior that I don't like to say bad behavior, but a behavior that's undesirable in your animal. And so if you can release all that stress and emotion in you that's undesirable, then you're actually helping your animal, because when you shift, your animal shifts. When your animal shifts, we shift. It's just a beautiful thing that we do together and help each other.
I think that's really neat. Can I ask you how that works, like how you do that? Because to me, that makes so much sense, because it's amazing, something that can trigger you. And you were like, how did that happen? I'm like, I don't even understand how that works. But how do you work with somebody? That's just
so. Again, it's distance, because I live in a little hamlet of 150 people, so there's no way I'm going to find enough clients here without traveling. So Dr. Bradley Nelson, he's a chiropractor who actually devised this method. He has a little chart that we go by with muscle testing. So if I were to ask you a question, if you had a trapped emotion somewhere, I can muscle test you and find out exactly what that emotion is. And then what we do actually is take a magnet. We like the Nikon magnets. If you're there in person, I would rub it directly on you, down your back. But if you're not, if I'm working with an animal, I'll use my dog as and if I'm working with human, I use me, and I can release that emotion. And it's really amazing. I've worked with people that are so aware, and they feel it, and they feel the lightness almost immediately. They feel the changes. They see the changes in their animals. It can happen, it can take a week to 10 days, or it can happen instantly.
Well, you must love just working with animals, too. One of the things that I was told at an early age is that, people have that thing between their ears, and it stops them from healing. And animals have more of an accepting. They want to be healed. They want to be healthy. They want to be happy. And they just have that natural instinct to be well. And when you have that intention and you're putting it out there, they respond so much quicker than any person does.
They really do. They really do. And the thing is with them, too, they'll take on a lot of our emotions. They'll take on a lot of our illnesses. So it's really wonderful if somebody can come and help them release them.
Yeah. Well, what kind of advice can you give to people that are listening today that, they have animals and now they're listening, they're kind of more aware of it. What kind of information can you give them over right now that can help them so that they have a calmer house, a better household?
Okay, so for instance, they see their dog or cat, and cat's wanting in and out of the house constantly. Ask yourself, is there something I'm scattered about? because the cat can't make up her decision. Do I want in? Do I want out? Is there something that you're really thinking about? So really pay attention to what your animal's doing, and then just stop, think, look inside. What am I feeling at this moment? Why is my dog barking so much? And then you check in and you go, oh, I'm not really calm, am I? And often just that awareness within us can help your animal, because they're going, finally, she gets it.
Well, that's good advice. I like that. Because you're wondering, especially if you're stressed and all of a sudden you're wondering why your animal's doing the things that it's doing, that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, because they totally pick up on what we're doing, and they really try to show us where we are in life.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so I'm going to dive into something that's really you're passionate about, and it's the Rocky Mountain Wilderness Society. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how our listeners can get involved with that?
Okay, so my husband is the president, and he created this in 2012 because we do a lot of backcountry trails, and we go out, and they're just not safe. There's deadfall. You can't get across, creeks or wet areas or whatever. So we'll build bridges. We'll clear the trails, and it's safer for the hiker. It's safer for the mountain biker. It's safer for the rider. A few years ago, it was a really wet summer, and a family was out, and they actually lost 2 horses in the river because the trail had deadfall in it, and when a horse tried to go around a tree, the pack box hit the tree and knocked them right in, and the water was so wild. They saved one, but one drowned. So for those reasons, it's safer, and it gives us peace of mind knowing. And it's all volunteer. Nobody gets paid. I think the cook gets paid, and that's it, because everybody's got to eat good, so we want a happy cook.
Yeah.
And so, we go out. Mostly we're working in the Wilmore Wilderness, but we've gone to other areas as well. And I've had to use my animal communication out there at times, so it's been handy.
I bet. Well, I love this because, a lot of people want to go to the mountains. They want to see the beauty of the mountains and to be a part of that. And there's nothing like that for any of our listeners Canada to see our mountains. I hope that you do come here one day to check them out, because honestly, there is nothing in the world that is more beautiful than that. And that's definitely me being biased, but there's something about the mountains that when I go hiking, I did a lot of ice climbing when I was younger, and I just love being out in the wilderness, and to have, somebody like yourself going out there and making sure that it's safe, not just for the horses, but for, hikers, for people that go mountain biking. I think that's absolutely extraordinary.
Thank you. Yeah, so our website is rmws.ca. I think it's under construction right now, so just keep trying we're just revamping it.
No, it looks absolutely fantastic, and I've just had an opportunity to check it out tonight. So,
you checked that one out as well, did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got to that one. So make sure that I'll be posting that on our social media and stuff too. So just so that all of our listeners can go and see some of the beautiful pictures and the things that you're doing out there. I just love it, Shelli. So thank you. But I want to ask you, Shelli, how can our listeners get a hold of you if they're wanting to work with you?
So my website is gallopfree.com. And I chose that name because actually I was a life coach for a few years, and my motto was take life by the reins and gallop free.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I use my life coaching with the animal communication too, because so much of it is being a detective, trying to get to the root and asking open-ended questions with both the person and the animal. So, gallopfree.com.
That is fantastic. We were going to be posting that on all of our social media also, because she's got some fantastic sites here, guys, and I just want to share them with all of you. Well, I want to ask you, Shelli, what is next in your life? What are you going to be doing in the future here?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm really happy with what I'm doing now. I want to work closer with animals. I'm taking the next step up of emotion code, which is body code. So that goes even deeper into our systems. So not just emotional issues that we are trapping in our bodies, but clearing actual physical issues as well. And that's another, Dr. Nelson also created that. And
excellent.
I'm studying it now. I'm not certified, so my next step is to get certified in that so that I can really help physically and emotionally.
Well, I can't wait to have you back on the program again in the future, and you can share all about that with all of our listeners.
Thank you.
It'll be awesome. So last minute, some of the things that I always ask our guests, is there any last minute tips, tools, anything that you could share with us tonight?
Let me think. I think really paying attention to yourself and seeing where you are in your mind and in your body will really help if you have an animal that's maybe having some issues and some problems. You know, a dog that's really itchy, are you irritated in some way? So really be aware of where you are. And then when you are talking with your animal, let them know if you're going to town, I'll be back in 2 hours. A lot of people make the mistake and say, I'll be back in a while or I'll be back in a minute. And their animal really has no clue because you've got 100 things on your mind while you're walking out the door, so they can't really figure out when you're coming back. And for an anxious animal, that could be really important. So be really focused about what you say. Take the words don't, can't, and won't out of it. And the best way to remember that is if you can visualize it, they'll get it.
I love that. Thank you so much, Shelli. I can picture that right now when I'm looking at my cat. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. I really had a great time with you as my guest today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I did too, and this was my first ever interview, so thanks.
Well, you did fantastic. And you know what? Welcome to the Divas. We're so happy to have you part of our family.
It's a pleasure to be here. I hope to see you if you're ever out my way.
You know what? I will definitely try to do that. That would be fantastic. And you know what? I want to spend a moment and just to thank all of our amazing listeners. Thank you so much for tuning into the Divas That Care and for all your support and supporting all of our anthologies that we put out there with, and especially our newest one with the young divas out there. They are doing such amazing things, and, you know, make sure that you check them out. You know, thank you again to Shelli. Thank you to all of our amazing listeners. I hope that each and every one of you has a great evening, and make sure that you do something kind for somebody out there. And until next time, bye-bye for now.